he went missing off the ship. One of the last people to see him alive was Gloria Steinem. She gives him, and she's just been recruited by the CIA in India. She gets back. She goes, she's a penniless student, as Hugh Wilford says in The Mighty Wurlitzer, and she meets up with the guy she met in India, who had obviously recruited her. And she goes and she gets involved in what's called the Independent Service for Information at Harvard.
All right, we're joined today from across the pond in Wales with Johnny Vedmore. How are you doing?
No, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. It's a real pleasure to come and speak to someone who's got a little bit of knowledge about stuff and understands things, and who has an audience who will understand what we're talking about here. So really looking forward to it.
Underlined a little bit of knowledge, poquito, because I have not been doing the deep dives as you have been. You cover a lot of subjects from what I have found, like Jeffrey Epstein. I saw Bill Gates. We're going to have to talk about that sometime. But for today, because I was going to talk to you about J. Stanley Pottinger. J. Stanley Pottinger worked with Gloria Steinem, and I thought, whoa. I've always wanted to talk about Gloria Steinem and the connection between, I would call it an unholy trilogy. Gloria Steinem, the CIA, and feminism. And I have always been of the understanding, and I think a lot of it's backed by Nelson Rockefeller and his family, that feminism was a creation fed through Gloria Steinem as a methodology to double the country's output and production by getting women out of the house and in the workplace, because they wanted to increase the GDP of America. How do you do very quickly? How do you double the consumer purchasing? How do you sell 2 cars for every family? You get the women out of the house. Is that something you've looked into?
Oh, so much. I'm so excited to speak about it, because I almost actually went into a meeting the other day with Gloria Steinem in there, and I was gonna ask her 3 really concise questions, but I decided that she's a bit old. I should hold off on that. Let her see me coming a little bit first, because I've done a lot of research on Gloria Steinem, a lot of research. That came from researching John Stanley Pottinger and getting to understand that he had a long-term relationship. I mean, his most stable and interesting relationship was with Gloria Steinem through a period of his life where he was running guns with Jeffrey Epstein in Iran-Contra and stuff, really crazy times, really crazy stuff. And that's Gloria Steinem's boyfriend. And they had such an alternative relationship for the period as well. So I went back really far into Gloria Steinem. I went back to the start and tried to work out who this puzzle was, because she was so well made. She's so well designed to look at. She's so well designed. There's a brilliant comic book I found where they did a mock-up comic book. I think it was in Esquire. I think it was in Esquire magazine in the 70s, and it was Super Gloria, and how she's this amazing feminist. She's there beating up the Soviets in Europe, and she's out there doing all of the things that feminists. Oh, one day she's a Playboy bunny, and then she's a fearless leader of the youth movement and all of this. And it was so contrived. I mean, obviously contrived. And I had already found a masterpiece of a book, The Mighty Wurlitzer by Hugh Wilford, which when I was studying the Schwab series, the history of Harvard and Henry Kissinger and how he set up the international seminar had become very important to that whole series, because it proved that Schwab had gone through a Kissinger-funded course. Well, he also mentions Gloria Steinem in there as well. So when I'm researching J. Stanley Pottinger and discovering this Gloria Steinem character, I'm just like, for me, I wasn't a feminist. I was never within feminism. I understand, with the trans movement and the modern movements that we see around, I can side more with a feminist now than I've ever been able to side with a feminist throughout my entire life.
Which wave?
So,
because there was first wave, second wave, we're in third wave. First wave to me made a whole lot of sense, which is, I mean, women were really subjugated back in the day, not even allowed to have a bank account on their own. I mean, just ridiculous garbage, at least here in the States. I can't speak for your side of the world, but here in the States, definitely 100% support that. They were held back, not given opportunity. Then we got into second wave and it started to get a little bit further. Then we now are in third wave. And in my opinion, third wave feminism is let's flip the coin and subjugate men and put them down. So I feel like third wave feminism to me is like revenge. But one more point. You mentioned the comic book, and that made me think, you do know that the CIA funded Animal Farm.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
The classic animated, brilliantly done animated movie, but that was total CIA. On the up and up.
When people understand the stories of people like Orwell and stuff, when they understand them, they fear it so much that they end up running into the arms of their aggressors. You know, this is something that we know from psychology, that we always go to the people who have got the power, and the CIA have got the power. Now, let me tell you the story of Gloria Steinem, because we could talk about feminism and what our beliefs are on feminism. I would separate, from my research, I would separate there being real feminism, which is all forms of radical feminism are representative within real feminism. Anything that pushes outside the boundaries of what is the status quo and what leaves women feel subjugated will help women find the right direction. So you need all forms of what I see as radical feminism within the feminist movement. And then there's what Camille Paglia, a famous feminist, describes as Betty Crocker feminism. That's the feminism of Gloria Steinem, of course. Now, Gloria Steinem wasn't always a feminist. She had started off, I can't quite remember, I think it was Smith's College she was at, and she got a scholarship. She got a scholarship to go around India when she was quite young. So she was 18 and she went for a tour around India. And this was 1956, this started, I think. By 1958, she's recruited by the CIA. And in between, she's meeting a guy called Gray in Delhi. She's meeting Indira Gandhi. She's meeting the wife of revolutionary leader M.N. Roy. She's like there when suddenly tanks appear in a coup in the city. She has this journey back to America where she's like smuggled onto a passenger ship, becomes close with a rear admiral of the U.S. Navy, who's being repositioned from being in charge of the entire Japanese fleet over to extremely high office in America, and he goes missing from the ship. They suspect suicide. The last person to see him is a very young Gloria Steinem coming back from this weird tour, and she gives this whole narrative. No one else is allowed to speak to the press, but Gloria Steinem speaks about how she become friends with the Quiggles. I can't remember what his first name was, Admiral Quiggle. But basically, he went missing off the ship. One of the last people to see him alive was Gloria Steinem. She gives him, and she's just been recruited by the CIA in India. She gets back. She goes, she's a penniless student, as Hugh Wilford says in The Mighty Wurlitzer, and she meets up with the guy she met in India, who had obviously recruited her. And she goes and she gets involved in what's called the Independent Service for Information at Harvard. And it was a project that was led by Gray, a guy called Bebchik, and a few others, and they were all CIA. And they told Gloria Steinem, and this is mentioned within Hugh Wilford's Mighty Wurlitzer, we are funded by the CIA, and this is a CIA project, And she continued to be with that program then till I think 1962, 1963 time. So she knew it was a CIA funded program right from the start, and she put all into it. And she did the propaganda for them. She went out to, well, what the project was going out to European youth festivals and representing the anti-Soviet and anti-communist sort of groups, and trying to engender some sort of strife between the other parties. So there was like, you know, there's a brilliant piece in 1967. There was a reveal because Ramparts magazine had done loads of amazing investigations and was about to out all of these different CIA connections. They would also out Harvard's funding by 3 different CIA conduits, Henry Kissinger's international seminar during this period. It was the late 60s. All of the CIA funding was coming out. You know, it was all coming out in the open. And Gloria Steinem went on TV and did an interview, which is available on YouTube. It's on Searching for Stanley, the documentary I made. There's an actual section. There's an episode on Gloria Steinem itself. And she basically says in the interview that, yes, she knew they were the CIA.
Gloria, at the festival, you worked for the Independent Research Service.
That's right.
Well, exactly when did your own association with the CIA start, and in what fashion? Did they come to you, or did you go to them?
In 1958, when I came home from India, I discussed with student leaders, past and present, many of them active with the National Student Association, this kind of small foundation to encourage Americans to go. They thought it was a good idea too. I was then told by foundations and professors and friends that I should not do this, that I would get in trouble with the House Un-American Activities Committee, the American Legion, all of those 50s people. And I became convinced that it was impossible. It was at that point that the student leaders said to me that they had in the past received funds for international programs from the CIA, and that they felt that this was important and could also be partly funded by the CIA.
She doesn't basically say, she says, yes, I was working for the CIA through this time, and they're like a kind uncle figure that looks after protecting us, and they're not doing anything bad at all, and it's fine. And at the same time, they're showing pictures of this youth festival in Vienna that was her first project with this ISI. And it was like the Finnish people there ended up fighting with the Russians, and it was running battles in the streets nearby. And apparently it was all CIA, like other people have said. It was all CIA-driven tomfoolery that made all of that violence kick off in the first place. So she was there to instigate and help, like, push the American propaganda. Now, she starts then gaining cover as kind of a journalist, you know. After that period, she's heading towards trying to gain cover as a journalist. So that leads up to the play. Now, she's still not a feminist at this point. So Miss, like one of the leading feminist leaders in the world, yeah, is not a feminist at this point. She doesn't even care about it. She's not even thinking about it. Go on, sorry.
When you say she was a journalist, was she part of Operation Mockingbird?
That's a very interesting question. That might be so. I can't say that it's come up in my investigations, but that makes a hell of a lot of sense that she's possibly involved in something like that. I can't remember where she wrote the Playboy article, but she wrote in a couple, I think it got syndicated. It was probably New York Times or something along those lines, but she did a expose, and this is how she really burst onto fame, like the scene properly. She did an expose on Hugh Hefner's newly opened Playboy Bunny Club. And, of course, it was seen as raunchy and randy, and she disguised herself as a potential candidate, and they were so desperate for staff, they actually took her on. And she was a bunny girl for about a month, and then she wrote this expose exposing the glamour behind the Playboy bunny. It seemed like it was more of an advert, one to like not hurt Hugh Hefner's image, and And to be like, oh, and she did all these lovely sexy pictures where she's turned around and she's got a rump up in the air with a bunny tail and she's like, you know, teasing like it's a bunny, Bugs Bunny teasing Elmer Fudd or someone. So it was very silly. And it led on to her then. In an interview later, she was like, she said that feminism hadn't dawned on her by that point. But then suddenly, you know, she started to get these ideas about being feminist. And so she became one of the lead commentators in feminism. And she also became like an anti-Vietnam advocate as well, where she went protesting. But part of that is linked up with the fact that when the Ramparts magazine article was about to come out, she's suddenly outside the Pentagon with a sign outside McNamara's office going, "Stop the Vietnam War! I'm a feminist." And so it was very much a shield. Go on.
No, it's okay. Because we know that at the time you had SDS, which they're Student Democratic Society. There's some possible CIA funding in there. That splintered off to the Weather Underground, which is, you know, the illustrious Bill Ayers, who...
Stan Pottinger was all over that investigation, all over it.
Yep, he loved to bomb. Weather Underground bomb the hell out of everything. They were so bad that that's why they splintered out. As you know, SDS is just a typical leftist wannabe communist organization with possible funding from the CIA. Weather Underground is saying, hey, we want to go further. We want to bomb some people because they're maniacs. And they split out of that. Even Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals, despised the Weather Underground. And he was no, you know, friend of the center or right or whatever. He wrote the whole principle that Obama ran on. Anyway, where I'm going with this is, if she was already working for the CIA, was she in fact protesting or was she infiltrating the organizations for the CIA?
Yeah, I believe the latter. I think they were trying to find her place in the system. They were trying to find where to use her, where to utilize. She was obviously glamorous. She had had a lot of exposure with her being on TV to defend herself about the CIA allegations, with her being a Playboy bunny girl, with all these other things. It built up a narrative where she was sexy, trendy. They needed somewhere to use her. So they put out on TV. She's a fair few clips of her around it at this time talking. And she really starts to enter onto the feminist movement. And that is going to coalesce very soon in the early 70s to Ms. Magazine, where she creates Ms. Magazine. And along with a couple of really interesting people, but their names escape me. But there's a load of stories there too. I mean, that's one I really want to investigate more. That's something I haven't investigated fully. I've just seen parts of it. It's really, but it's really extremely interesting. I've especially, I've go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did she get funding from the CIA for Ms. Magazine?
I believe Ms. Magazine was a complete CIA operation. So many parts of it, even the stories and the topics they cover. It was like one of them was abortion's illegal in I don't know if it was all of America, but I think it was most of the states anyway at that time. And they were getting people who had had abortions to fill in their name and address and send it into the magazine. And it felt like that was a really good way to get compromise. And they were doing operations, what I see as operations like that. In actual fact, if you read Ms. Magazine, they're pumping out a very, they're towing the line, you could say. But it would be 1974, 1975 where they would hit into trouble because Kathy Sarachild and the Red Stockings, real feminists, real gun-toting feminists, I'd say, came out really with an expose on Gloria Steinem and tried to get the publication of a book which would eventually have the Gloria Steinem section taken out by the publishing company who buys it, that's led by a guy called Jason Epstein, who's best friends or very, very close anyway to J. Stanley Pottinger, who's going out with Gloria Steinem at the time. So there's a whole link there. Really interesting story about Kathy Sarachild and the Red Stockings. So they came straight out with it. They said Gloria Steinem has had an association with the CIA from at least 1958 to at least 1968, 1969. And they want to know whether she, as a representative of the feminist movement, is actually working for the CIA or not. And that is a fair question to ask. Now, they put down, they had, I think it was like a 12 or 13 page manifesto they wrote. It was glorious. And they really went in for the attack, and she did not like it at all. Of course, Gloria Steinem has always tried to just shoo away any effort to get her to answer for why she worked for the CIA for so long, and whether she's actually a feminist. That's hard to understand. During this time, at the moment where she's about to be approached by Kathy Sarachild and the radical feminists of the Red Stockings movement, and she's about to be outed publicly again. I mean, it's maybe the third time she's been outed as being CIA in her life at that point. She is getting into bed with someone who's opposing views to her, or should be opposing views. John Stanley Pottinger at this point is the head of Civil Rights Division, the Department of Justice, going on to be Assistant Attorney General, I think, at the Department of Justice. And basically, he is a Republican man. He is best friends with George H.W. Bush. He is Wait,
do you mean the director of the CIA, George H.W. Bush? Or
the director. Well, he's 2 years away from being director. And while John Stanley Pottinger's Assistant Attorney General, he ends up in the assassination of Orlando Letelier, taking Eugene Popper to see his very good friend George H.W. Bush. This comes up in Assassination on Embassy Row by John Dingus, where I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right. It sounds a bit rude. But where he takes him to the CIA to meet George Bush and get rights to spy domestically. J. Stanley Pottinger signs off to get rights to spy domestically on
which is
U.S.
against
citizens.
The charter. That is against the charter of the CIA.
And they use Operation Condor. Yeah, they use Operation Condor, and it's a really sneaky move. That's 1976. He's with Gloria Steinem at this time. So Gloria Steinem's supposed to be this Democrat, sort of left-wing, feminist icon. And the man who she's supposed to be fighting against is this Republican Party, sort of big sideburns, a really neat grey-suited man called Stanley Pottinger. And they're in a relationship together, and it's just a lie. The image that the mainstream media project of Gloria Steinem, and trust me, I've watched every single bit of footage I could find of Gloria Steinem, and there's some hidden away. There's some hidden away until after she dies. There's some you're not allowed to see, and I think that's really telling as well. They were on the elite New York scene. At the same time, the mainstream media are busy pushing Gloria Steinem as this she can barely afford to survive. She runs a non-profit magazine.
It's tough.
Life's hard for Gloria Steinem. In the same time, she's dining with all of the big boys and big girls. She's hanging around with the CIA. She is the CIA. I mean, she's surrounded by it. She's in bed with it, literally in bed with it. By the time that Stanley Pottinger's running guns with Jeffrey Epstein, she's constantly out running in the same circles. So the question then goes, okay, Epstein's big on the New York scene in the early 80s, financing loads of different things, mixing with people like Khashoggi and others who are also out on the New York scene. And we know that Pottinger's out and Steinem's out in the exact same scene. So it leads to the question is, did Gloria Steinem know Jeffrey Epstein? Because in 1990, then ex-boyfriend, former partner, who they were still close with and friends with, moves to Palm Beach, buys a house in Palm Beach, 500 meters away from where Jeffrey Epstein's buying his house. And they've already smuggled guns together. He later admits sharing an office. Stanley Potting sharing it, says he shared an office with Epstein in Bradley Edwards' Relentless Pursuit that comes up. So there's loads of questions about what Gloria Steinem really is, what Ms. Magazine really is. We know she was CIA from the moment she left, she got to India, really, all of the way through to the moment she's setting up Ms. Magazine. And then she's suddenly not CIA anymore? No, I don't think so. She's then with a lead CIA guy doing naughty CIA business. I mean, it's ridiculous. So by the time it gets to the 80s, though, she's seen as the feminist icon, and people like Camille Paglia, who I mentioned earlier, Kathy Sarachild and others, all the radical feminists are all pushed out. They're the people that shape feminism. The people on the outskirts of any movement are the people who push the boundaries and see where they lie. And that's why radical feminism is so massively important to feminism. Well, Gloria Steinem took all of the radical out of feminism, made it the man's type of feminism, encourages people to live in a way that is suitable for the people of the past, rather than the where women want to take the feminist movement and where they want to go. And it left, I'd say, a really bland, neurotic sort of feminism behind it. And that's the only feminism people are allowed to know. Now, people like Emma Watson, who played in Harry Potter and stuff, she's interviewing Gloria Steinem and be like, "Oh, you're the best leader feminist. Oh my God, it's so amazing to meet you." And it's like, she's co-opted an entire movement. I think she was responsible in the murder of Admiral Quiggle in 1958. That's madness. She worked for the CIA. She's funded by the CIA through the first part of her career. She knows she's funded by the CIA. She becomes a feminist all of a sudden, just as the CIA are looking to co-opt such movements. And a journalist at the same time, just as the CIA are co-opted. I mean, the CIA in the 60s and 70s, the amount of money they put in and the amount of lean they put on big journalists especially. I'm really...
that goes back to the 40s and 50s with Mockingbird again.
Yeah. My expertise on that area is late 60s, early 70s, really, from all my research with Schwab and other things, and the creation of things like the German Marshall Fund and how they funded people. I like to look at how these groups who are funded by conduits fund other conduits and how that goes on. And there was I'm really suspicious of every American that won a Pulitzer Prize around 70s.
I'm suspicious of them now, by the way.
Yeah. Well, 70s onwards, I would say that I look at them and I go, something happened there where it was definitely all bought and sold. By the time like 1967, 68, 69, 70, like the New World Order, as we call it, was now the prevailing world order.
I want to circle back just a little bit. You mentioned the real feminists who had written a book, including a whole section on Gloria Steinem, and a friendship with the editor or publisher of that?
Go on.
Is that, in fact, because I know of others, I'm not going to name them right now, but there's a lot of publishers out there that I would call honeypots. They're literally CIA driven or owned. And a lot of the deepest, darkest, conspiracy-laden publishers, when you see the books, this is a CIA shop. And what better way to help control a narrative or message, but to, in fact, be the publisher or control the publisher to where instead of going out to find all the, quote, wackos, they'll send it in to you. Is that, in fact, a honeypot publisher?
Bigger, Random House. Top dogs comes in, yeah. They just change. They come in, buy the manuscript off the Red Stockings. I think it's called Feminist Revolution. I think the book was called Feminist Revolution. I can't quite remember, but I think that's what it was called. They buy it, and then just at the last minute, they change their editor-in-chief at Random House. Their chief guy is a guy called Jason Epstein, gets brought in really quickly. Jason Epstein, later I find him, he'd already come up in a Pottinger article. So I was really, because I found out this stuff later when I was doing the searching for Stanley stuff. Someone come to me with a load of information, and it just led to I ended up getting the original Red Stockings, all of the manifesto, and it's incredible. They explain in detail. They go Random House, say we'll buy the edit's perfect. We've got no problems with it at all. We want it really badly. Okay, they sell it on. Jason Epstein takes over, and then suddenly there's a problem. There's a load of lawyers come in, and there's a problem, and they want to take certain sections out. And the section on Gloria Steinem, two parts of the sections on Gloria Steinem, a bit on Ms. Magazine, and something else was needed to be taken out, ordered by Jason Epstein. And Jason Epstein was known and is another magazine. Oh God, if I could only remember which magazine. It's another female magazine, a feminist magazine. A few years later, also did an article. It's in Searching for Stanley in the Gloria Steinem part of the documentary, and they reveal that Jason Epstein used to go to one place where it was a camp, it was a holiday beach, and he was running around telling everybody he was CIA all of the time. And it seems very clear that Jason Epstein had big CIA links. He's later on comes up still in touch with Stan Pottinger in 2004, 2005, when his then wife is in trouble with something else, and, you know, always involved in a scandal. But basically head of Random House gets brought in, crushes that chapter as it just ripped out, won't let him put it in. Even now, the Red Stocking site now doesn't include that chapter. Even when you go that, I find it amazing.
Do you have a copy of that chapter? Somewhere?
Yes, I do, sir. I'm an amazing person. Bought a first edition manuscript of which is the entire chapter in, and sent me the whole manifesto too. So I've got, yeah.
Could I get a copy of that from you?
Yeah, send it to you. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff.
Awesome. That's wonderful. All right. This is great. I want to continue this conversation, hopefully in another interview, and maybe we'll shift to Pottinger himself. Might even be a little bit longer. But before I wrap up, I always like to ask this. What is the one question that I should have asked you, but I neglected to?
Oh, that's really hard. The one thing that jumps into my head on the spot is, what does this mean for all of the other feminists who were around Gloria Steinem? Does that mean that they're also involved in some sort of wider conspiracy? How many of the feminist movement that has formed around, and it really has formed around Gloria Steinem, Bella Asgub, or however you pronounce it, and others like, there are clear links to Israeli intelligence there. There's clear links to other intelligence services. How wide does this go? And is there any of the feminist movement that hasn't been co-opted? I think that's the question. Okay,
fair enough. And when you say Israeli intelligence, that's kind of a typical thing from what I've seen. CIA, MI6, and Mossad, they're all working together. It's not
breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air to hear you say that, because honestly, I spend all my time with people being what I call Mossad absolutists, where they're like, "Oh, it's only Israeli intelligence."
No, that makes me crazy. Thank you for saying that, because I really want to point it out that They are a part of a gang. I don't know if they're officially Five Eyes, but they're just part of a gang. They're not the actual source of it all. And it sort of drives me crazy that, as you said, it gets filtered down to only Mossad. And there's some big players in the YouTube world that like to say Mossad, 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 everything. So thank you for that. And I definitely wanted to put that out there. That's kind of almost a cabal of intel.
God, it's a relief. It's a relief to hear someone else. I'm not insane. I spend a lot of time arguing online on spaces and stuff with people who think that because I say that they're all in it together, that somehow like absolves Israel or absolves USA or something of their interaction with this intelligence blob.
Awesome. Well, Johnny, thank you so much. You're johnnyvedmore.com. And I will definitely put a link in the description. You have a whole documentary on Pottinger, I know, but everybody, you can always watch it after we talk in the interview. And I hope to see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.